quite often I get deals sent to me from, beginner wholesalers or real estate agents, right? They send me that deal, be like, hey, this is good for investors. So I take a look, I do quick numbers, and I tell them where I need to be. So here is what the response I usually get. It'll be like, oh, your offer is lowball. So no, I'm not gonna take your offer. But I wanted to show you if this is gonna be a lowball offer or is going to be a logical offer. So if you don't know me, my name is Waleed Yousif, real estate investor here in South Texas. We buy houses here in the valley, Sunbelt cash offer. You can, look us up. When I reach out to agents, be like, hey, look, I'm willing to let you represent me as a buyer, but I want this property to be off market. So when I got that deal, looked it up, I saw the pictures, and I basically gave them, the offer. So here is the numbers. Now here's the thing. When I gave her my offer, she was like, oh no, this is a lowball offer. So definitely my client would not take it. I just simply be like, hey, I'll pass on this one. Keep me on the loop. Keep sending me those, those deals. Here's the problem that I see is that I see, let's say, a house listed maybe on Zillow or similar to it was sold, right? We call it ARV, right? After repair value. That means after they repair the property. Let's say it's a, it's a 300. Okay, this house may need a little bit of, work. Let's say 20,000. All right, well, here's the thing. I'm gonna list it for like, 280. Let's be conservative because right now we're at a buyer market. After we fix it up, bring it all in, in good, everything can sell somewhere between, let's say, 270 to 290, 295. When I gave them basically my offer, it's gonna be close to like between 170 to like 180. That's when she said, your offer is a lowball offer. My client would not take your offer. Here's the thing. There are a lot of expenses that goes into it when, flipping houses. When buying that property, right, there is usually, closing costs. Let's say a house like this would go somewhere 25 grand. The other one, to bring fund to the table, right? To bring this, because it's set cash. Okay, if it's set cash, typically with, majority of investors, they're broke. The majority of flippers are kind of like really broke. You get what's called hard money lender. There is like bunch of fees, document fees, junk fees, literally all there in the first closing that, the buyer would have to, pay. Well, let's say, $1,500. And this is basically, monthly payment that, would have to pay to, to the lender. Why? Because they have interest, depending on the person, the experience. They go something around like 12% to like, 15%. The big thing too, repairs. So something like, something like this one that, the agent brought easily would be like, 30 to 35. For you guys, who basically flipped houses, it always go above the budget. I don't know. I mean, we have done multiple deals. We talk to a lot of investors that they do a lot of deals. It always go above budget. When we buy the house too, we have to turn on utility, the water, to get the insurance too. It needs to be on in the house all the way until it closes with the retail buyer. Let's kind of be, conservative here, and let's say, okay, $1,000 a month. When we buy a property as cash, we're not gonna sell it the next day. It takes somewhere between 2 to 3 months to get that property remodeled and ready. Once it's remodeled, we have to have it on the market. We basically have to accept an offer. So it's gonna take some time until accepted offer. And then from that accepted offer, there's also like a month about it to close. So we're talking here like something around like 4 or 5 months. So usually the buyer, basically pays the inspector, right? They go and inspect the property, check everything, and make sure like, if there's anything. Well, even if we remodel the property, all in tip-top shape and everything, that inspector, right, is gonna go and pick up something. It's gonna give you that 25 page, right, to kind of like see, okay, they need to fix this, they need to fix that, you know, the AC might be not running really good and stuff, and the roof, stuff like that. Okay, so now they're basically, the buyer's agent is gonna kind of be like, hey, we have this one, how about we get this amount of credit? Let's say 2,000. Now we have to pay the commission. So we have basically, you know, 4%, you know, commission. And that's where, you know, we have also to do now second closing. And that's another like 2,500, let's say. So now I'd be like, okay, so it's not 100,000, you know, profit. We have to pay those expenses. And that's kind of the thing. That's why, obviously, I'm not gonna go explain all this. I'm probably gonna send them this video. I'm not going to explain all that to, you know, real estate agents or beginner wholesalers. So that's kind of the thing where, am I gonna go and, you know, build that, you know, argument? No, why would I do that? That's not good. They're just basically not gonna send me more deals. So I just be like, hey, I'm gonna pass on this one. When you get the next one, please send it to me. And that's why we have to say no a lot. We work with a lot of investors here in the Valley because we assign to them. So I'm pretty much weekly in conversation with, you know, real estate investors. So I know their numbers because I have assigned them properties and I see their, you know, budget. I know how much I sold it to them. I know how much they spend. I know how much they sold it for. And I know how much they make. I know the numbers. So if you're a real estate agent here in the Valley, please send us your deals. Again, make sure it's off market before you have it on the market. Be able to, you know, make a cash offer on those. And if you are also a beginner wholesaler, please make sure to send us the, you know, properties that you have under contract. We'll make sure to send you our cash offer. Until next time, thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.